here's a staggering number. About 4.2 million people in the U.S. will turn 65 this year. That's millions of people leaving the workforce and facing the task of living off their savings in retirement amid an escalating cost of living. Now, you might be thinking of your own personal finances and wondering, am I putting away enough money so I can maintain my standard of living when I retire? And how do I do that? Well, you've come to the right place. Jean Chatzky, she's a personal finance expert, author, and founder of HerMoney. And Elizabeth Gore is co-founder and president of Hello Alice and hosts Yahoo Finance's The Big Idea podcast. And they're joining me now for a retirement reality check. So, ladies, one of the questions that we got from listeners was around rolling their 401k into a checking account. Thoughts?
A checking account?
Well, yeah, that's the question.
All right.
Jean.
So
I think that's very dangerous.
Well, I think it's very dangerous, and I think when you roll it into something other than a qualified account, if you don't roll it into an IRA, you're going to face a lot of taxes.
And
potentially penalties depending on your age,
right?
So the rollover decision is a really, really important one. It is not a bad idea to roll over in any real situation, but you want to make sure that you're picking the place that you roll to carefully and that you don't take the money out of the tax deferred account, because then you lose all of this good work that you've probably been doing for decades.
And I think about human behavior. I think it's really important that folks are disciplined and their money is in environments that are not completely easy accessible. So that's what makes me nervous about that.
So we don't know the reason why they want to roll the money over. It could be emergency, in which case maybe you take a loan out, or maybe you can take an emergency distribution from your 401k. But if it's just to roll it over for the sake of getting access to your money, taxes and penalties.
Well, taxes and penalties, and you should be planning your withdrawals over that long period of your retirement so that you get the tax consequences right, so that you give the money more time to grow, right? It can grow tax deferred for decades longer. You just want to max that.
Yeah, so one thing that may save someone from making a bad decision is not all plans allow you to take distributions, right? So you have to check your summary plan, right, document, your SPD, to find out even if you can even do this before, like, take an in-plan distribution.
You got to do your homework and really research and not assume that one size fits all, right? Every product is different. When you put it in, your age, it all matters.
Yeah. So another type of retirement account that we get lots of questions about is the health savings account, right? Which everyone describes as the triple tax advantage account, right? It goes in tax-free, grows tax-free, comes out tax-free if you use it for qualified medical expenses. But some people want to know, can I overfund it? And if so, what's the penalty?
Well, first of all, I love HSAs, right?
Who doesn't love an HSA?
Right? I love them because they can become a supplemental retirement account, as you well know, right? If you can get yourself to the point where you are paying for your health care out of your current cash flow and you invest that money in an HSA and you let it ride, let it grow, then you've got this supplemental account. Once you get to retirement, you can save your health receipts for years and years and years and years and just write them off down the road. You can use that money to pay Medicare premiums. I mean, it's so valuable. Can you overfund it? Yeah, you could put more than the IRS allows you to put into it.
Right, but there are taxes and penalties on that, on the over the contribution at 6% per year. So you've got to either take it out or pay the penalty for as long as it's there.
Also, research and study what you can actually use it for. You'd be surprised in your life what you can actually use that fund for. That I think people just think I'm just paying a direct medical cost, but there are so many other areas that you can actually use that fund for. So again, go back and research, study, and understand the capabilities.
Yeah, so one question we always get, and I'm sure you get it too, Jean, is this notion of if I apply for Medicare, I have to stop contributing to my HSA typically about 6 months before you enroll, and otherwise you have to sort of take that money out.
Yeah, you have to time everything very carefully when it comes to Medicare, because there are a lot of things that can mess you up if you do it incorrectly. By the same token, it's not all that hard to put a little reminder in your calendar and just nudge yourself to stop paying that one bill.
Yeah.
And I want to also shout out to the millions of people who are participating in elder care right now. They're doing this for their parents. And again, you have to do that research on behalf of your parents and understand for them. I care for 2 aging parents right now, and I'm in these decisions all day long. So you have to really understand what their products are before you help them make those decisions.
Yeah, so last question about HSAs. We know that when they were created, they were described as an IRA for healthcare expenses in retirement way back when. Most people, when they invest in HSA, they put it into a money market, and most of the time they're using it for current medical expenses. But for some folks who have the ability to delay using that HSA, you can invest it in the market. You can put it in a S&P 500 index.
But you have to turn it on, and I've seen statistics about the fact that only 6% of people have actually turned on the investing function. I mean, there are some barriers to entry. Sometimes you need to have a minimum balance in order to invest your money. It's worth, as Elizabeth said, picking up the phone, doing a little research, and finding out if you are in the kind of HSA that gives you the option to invest, because not all of them do.
Do you have advice for small business owners who aren't working for a big corporation and they're thinking about these, how they find all that information?
There is a lot of information available at healthinsurance.gov. There's a lot of information available at AARP. Actually has a really, really good vertical. I'm sure there's a ton on Yahoo. The point is to just go online and have a conversation with, whether you do it with ChatGPT or some other bot, about what is out there. And don't give me that face.
I'm going to say, if you're going to use AI, double check.
I think he just had a small heart attack.
I had a moment.
He just had his own reality check.
I'm like, AI.
No, but I mean, I do this pretty much every day. I go on, I have a conversation with AI about something I'm trying to learn, and I tell it that I want it to give me realistic, viable, credible sources that I can believe, and then I fact check it, as we all would.
And I think that's the medium, right? I mean, it's your starter kit for information.
Don't take it at face value.
But then you go exactly to the source, to the products and services you actually are using, and then fact check it.
Exactly.
All right, so in your experience, what small habits have the biggest risk of cascading into the biggest financial crises? And I'm thinking about credit card debt, or not having a budget, or not having health insurance. What are your thoughts?
Being unconscious is the overarching habit that gets people in trouble. Whether you're unconsciously spending because we just swipe and dip and click and tap and money moves so quickly, whether you are unconsciously not paying attention to your investments, you've got to get yourself to focus on what's coming in, what's going out, and where it's going. And if you know those 3 things, you're going to be in much better shape.
So many people just go, money, right? Like, it's too much work.
You know, it's gotten easier, I think, as a person who's not a deeply financed person. And I would say the biggest mistake for my audience, for small business owners, is not starting. So they tend to wait to pay themselves. They tend to wait to start their 401k. They tend to wait to start putting money into their medical expenses. So I think the biggest mistake they can make is, whether you're making $1 or you're making $500,000 a year, you need to start putting money away for your own services. Even if you're a solopreneur, it's really important.
I run into a lot of small business owners who believe that their business is their retirement plan, which is such wonderful optimism, but we know,
it's very little
it
times
doesn't,
the case.
it doesn't always turn out that way.
Also, if you are more secure and know where you're going, you will be a better leader. If you know you're putting money away for your long term, you will make wiser decisions in your business.
Yeah, there's a recent study published by the Investment Company Institute by Sarah Holden and a co-author, where they looked at who has the best chance of success in retirement, and it's someone who has a long-term planning horizon. So if you're the SOA, Society of Actuaries, has noticed that most people only have a planning horizon of 10 years.
Right.
But if you have something that's like 10 years and longer, you have a better chance of having a better retirement outcome.
Right, and I think even, I suggest for people, for their own children, to teach them to start putting money away early. So the second my kids are in 4-H, they sell their rabbits, and they're having to put their little money away and understand how to save for long term. And I think we can all teach the next generation that. So in your sandwich, you've got elder care, so you're making these Medicare decisions for your parents, but then you should also be teaching your children how to get there.
Yeah, and I'm not surprised by that long-term time horizon because we've learned a lot from the people who study behavioral finance about visualization. And I think visualization is just, if you can see it, then you can do it. And these folks who have the long-term time horizon are seeing a lot further into the future and helping their future selves.
I've put my face into those
Me
aging
too.
apps, and it's scary.
Yeah.
All right, let's go over to Allie Cannell in the Social Center with some viewer questions.
Hey Bob, yes, we have a lot of great questions from our social media viewers, and this first one is for Jean, comes from Josephina, and she asks, my mom will turn 73 next year and will need to start taking requirement minimum distributions from her IRA. Is there a strategy for when she should think about timing the RMDs? Are there penalties for doing it wrong?
Well, yes, there are penalties for doing it wrong. The big thing that you get penalized for is not taking enough. The IRS actually calculates for you how much you need to take out. It's a number that is based on your age, based on your life expectancy, based on the amount of money that you have in the account. If she's at age 73 and she has yet to start taking distributions, I suspect she doesn't really need to use this money all that much. And so she may be the type of person who wants to think about something called a QCD, which is a qualified charitable distribution. It's a way to make a charitable donation straight out of your IRA. The money doesn't get taxed, and it doesn't count, and it counts towards your RMDs. So you kind of get the best of both worlds.
And you're making an impact in your community.
Yeah, and you're able to give away more for less. It's kind of a little bit like giving away appreciated stock, which I love as well.
Yeah. What else you got, Allie?
Well, Bob, I even have one for you here. This is from Chip. He asks, do my children inherit my Roth tax-free?
Yeah, so just a little bit of background on the Roth IRA. It's different from a traditional IRA. The money goes in after tax. It grows tax-free, and then the money comes out tax-free, unlike an IRA. Now, the interesting thing about inheriting an IRA is your children don't have to take RMDs, but they do have to withdraw all the money within 10 years. So that's not the same for a spouse. Your spouse can roll it into their RIA or not, but they don't have to take RMDs. But your children need to exhaust it by the end of the 10th year.
And I think a lot of people get confused that you actually still have to do that with a Roth, not just a traditional IRA. We lost my mom this past year, and so my brothers and I are in the process of getting distributions from her traditional IRA, but there's a tax hit there.
Yeah, so you'll pay an ordinary income tax on those distributions,
Yeah.
but my children, if they inherit my Roth IRA, won't have to pay taxes on that.
Exactly.
So what else, Allie?
All right, well, finally, Elizabeth, this next social viewer wants to know, what's the best pre-retirement decision you've ever made? And don't say hire a financial advisor. So a bit of a caveat in there.
I'll say it.
Okay, you say it first.
You hired a financial advisor.
You know what? You have to just start. I came home for the Peace Corps. I put in $100 a month for my retirement. I know that sounds silly, but again, it adds up over years. And so if you just take the time, we'll go in the middle here, start using ChatGPT to learn, but then go and confirm the facts, start investing in your retirement, in your health care, and your future. Just start. That's what we did as a family, as kids coming out of the jungle, and then here we are all these years later with money, and it adds up. So just start.
It does. I have one more for you.
Yeah.
I think it's really important 10 years out, 5-10 years out from retirement to really get a sense of what you spend every year. A lot of people have no idea what retirement is going to cost them, and it's impossible to plan for retirement if you don't know the cost of the life that you're going to be living. The best indication that we have is how much we spend now. So if you can get yourself to really acknowledge your cost of living today, it's a lot easier to establish that roadmap for tomorrow.
My fishing budget is going to go up when I retire. So
You're-
I'm just going to have to balance. Oh yeah, I love to fish.
All right.
So I got to
Okay.
plan for that.
Yeah, you do. All that bait's expensive. Elizabeth, you eat, breathe, sleep all things small business,
do.
right? So when I think about small businesses and retirement plans, I think solo 401k, SEP
Yep.
IRA, and IRA. Do you have a preference?
I would say go in the IRA direction. I think just we don't understand the tax benefits. It's you can put it in there, forget about it. And I think that's the most trusted area for small businesses at this time.
All right, last question, personal question, Jean.
Uh-oh.
When your nose isn't at the grindstone, how do you unwind?
I I like to run and I like to cook, and it's good that I like to do both because running helps me work off those calories that I eat.